Good morning. The time is 10:02 a.m. on Monday, September 21st, 2020. I'm calling the E County Commissioners Court Special Call Budget Meeting to order. We are located at E County Courthouse Commissioners Courtroom, number 110, 105 West Corpus Christi Street, Beeville, Texas, 78102. Moving on to deliberate and consider action on the following items. Agenda item number 2, holds public hearing on B County budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Yeah, do I have a motion to open?
Make a move to open the public hearing.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is open. Is there anybody who wishes to make public comment to Commissioners Court with respect to B County budget for fiscal year 2020-2021? I'll ask again if anybody in the audience is interested in making a public comment today on the B County budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. And I'll ask a final time if there's anybody in the audience today who's interested in making a public comment on the B County budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing and proceed.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to agenda item number 3. Adopt B County budget for fiscal year 2020-2021.
Move to approve the budget. With a question?
Okay. Well, we'll hear the motion here in a second. I think we need the magic.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Words.
You want it this time?
Yes,
About revise your motion?
Revise my motion, and may I take the mask off so I can read, sir?
Yes, yes.
I have trouble reading, you know. These are words that must be said. The budget will raise more revenue from property taxes than last year's budget by an amount of $998,861, which is a 9.1% increase from last year's budget. The property tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the tax roll this year is $76,897. That is my motion.
We have an amended motion to approve the budget.
Second.
You amend your second. Thank you. Okay, is there any further discussion?
I do want to say, just to make it clear that number, that 998,861 is a total county, total entity increase, yes.
Road and bridge and.
Total entity, which is all the entities in B County.
Oh!
Yes.
Does that make sense?
That's right. Okay, repeat that for the screen again, please. That amount is total entity, total taxing entity in B County.
Total of all taxing entities, that's the increase, that the total county will see.
Which is, would you enumerate those, please? You got it.
I have B County. What our number is out of there is 209,274.
Okay, so B
That's
County.
B County.
B County itself.
Yes.
B County Commissioners Court, the budget for B County is going up by, would you repeat that one more time?
$209,274.
$209,274.
Yes.
And the remainder coming from the other entities.
The remainder of this $900,000 is the other entities. That would be. And part of this, and we talked about this earlier, to balance our budget, we moved how much from our reserves so we would not put the burden on the taxpayer?
So out of this, because this number is not what we see on page 16,
Yes, ma'am.
which is ad valorem, we do not see that 200,000. We see a decrease of 234,000 because this is a calculation of a 98% collection rate.
Right.
So that's why we have a decrease in this document, because of that collection rate that we reduced because of the times, the
That
uncertain
amount,
times we're in.
if we lived in a perfect world and we collected 100% of the taxes, it would.
We would have seen possibly a $200,000 increase, but, so we didn't.
Yes, yes.
So what we had
100%
to do was cut our budget by almost 300,000
for the 98%.
because of that 98% collection rate. And so we're using, if you go to page 17, we have several items that we are specially funded for this year, which we're going into our fund balance, 1.175 million.
Okay, so to answer the question I asked, to balance the budget and keep the extra off the taxpayers, we moved 1.175 million from our reserves into the budget.
Yes. And you will see that balance, and that's for road and bridge heavy equipment, a new jail project closeout, and our CARES funding and waiting.
And we did that mainly to keep the extra taxes off of the taxpayers.
Yes, sir.
Thank
And so the motion, the language in the motion, if I may,
you. Yeah,
is,
it's very misleading.
we say this budget, but in reality, it's all taxing entities' budgets in B County for fiscal year 2021 will generate more revenue from property taxes than they did last year, to the tune of $998,861, which is for all taxing entities, a 9.14% increase from last year's budgets.
Yes, and that is from the tax assessor collector.
And what I would recommend we do, if we're asked a question by the newspaper or something, refer them directly to you and the tax assessor and not try to explain this ourselves.
That's correct, and my apologies for doing that last week.
I think the court feels very strong that way because we might give out some misinformation.
It is very confusing.
Yes,
I think-
indeed.
We'll get it right.
I think by making the statement that it's all entities.
Yeah, all.
This leads out to protect
And I was making
everyone.
phone calls Friday.
That's everybody, yeah.
Yeah, it provides a lot of comfort having this.
I just want to, for the people that don't know out there in the county, the judge's office, the auditor's office, the tax office, work a lot of overtime hours, weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and you got to take my hat off. Thank you all very much for doing that.
Yeah.
Ms. Manis,
Burned up.
office, Candy, everybody, thank you so much.
Burned up many a phone line, and
Yeah.
many a brain tick. Again, I can't emphasize enough what Commissioner Farias is saying about all three departments. And then you go out to the county as a whole. The county as a whole did exactly what we've asked them to do. They've asked us to tighten up, and it's tightened up. And they do that. They do that without anything coming from them.
And the bottom line, the legislature mandated maximum 3.5%. We have stayed there or under in our budget. We purposely did that. We could have gone higher. We did not.
Real quick before we take a vote.
Yes, sir.
Instead of using the word concur, I'm gonna use the word that I heard you say the other day. I echo the same remarks. You said echo. I can use instead of
No, you concur and echo.
Yeah, no, I got three.
Because a lot of the county doesn't know how many hours they put in. On the weekends and after hours.
This is not an easy project.
This is,
It's been a roller coaster ride for them.
That is an
and it has-
understatement.
Yeah.
this
Understatement.
doesn't include what you're doing with COVID. It doesn't include what Willow's doing with all the other stuff at that emergency management. So there's a lot going on, but people just don't know what all that's happening.
When things are going smooth like they should, it looks like no one's really doing anything. But they're working like crazy. They're like that little yellow duck on the lake. Above water, he's real calm. Below water, he's paddling like crazy. And that's what y'all do. Y'all do good.
Yes, thank you.
We have a great support staff, and I just want to thank my whole office, especially Patricia and the tax assessor collector's office and Cindy, and of course, Candy is just a rock star.
I'll call the question, sir.
Okey dokey. So we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Do we have to do a roll call vote on this one?
I think we do.
Yes, we do.
My apologies.
You can follow up with the roll call.
I'll do it. At this time, we'll go from my left to my right. Is that okay, or do we go from precinct one, I guess?
Okay.
Commissioner Salazar,
Aye.
Commissioner DeWitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Farias.
Aye.
Commissioner Haggard.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative as well. Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Is there any other housekeeping on this agenda item before we move on? Okay, thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, everybody else. including, and Commissioner Haggard, I appreciate you bringing up the fact that all of our department heads and our elected officials, they really did, they all had to tighten their
They do this
belts.
every
And,
year,
yeah,
every year.
it was a very strong effort by everybody, so thank you for that. Agenda item number 4, ratify the property tax increase reflected in the B County budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Yes.
Okay, make a motion to ratify the .69544 property tax increase. This rate will raise more taxes for the maintenance and operation of last year's tax rate.
I'll second.
He's reading. No.
No, we're on number
This is
4.
the new one.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry, that one's from Friday, I think.
Okay,
Oh,
You got a new one right in front of you.
I'm sorry, thanks.
It's okay.
Did you get that, and need to repeat?
You didn't get the new one?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll give it
We'll get you one.
Okay.
I have a motion, which, it was read into the, you already did it, but your motion was to ratify the .69544
Okay.
property tax increase, and that rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations from last year's tax rate.
That's correct.
And we had a second, I think, from
Yeah.
Commissioner Haggard.
So,
Any further discussion? Hearing none, yeah, this is a roll call vote too. We'll start again with Commissioner Salazar. I'd entertain a vote at this time, sir.
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner DeWitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Farias,
Aye.
Commissioner Haggard,
Aye.
and I vote in the affirmative as well. So the motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Anything else before we move on from agenda item number 4? Okay, moving on, agenda item number 5, adopt E County tax rate for fiscal year 2020-2021.
I move that the property rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.69544, which is effectively a 8.76% increase in the tax rate.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I do want to say for our budget from last year, it is a 0.01762% increase from last year's, the adopted rate from last year.
You want to repeat that one?
0.01762 is the increase from last year's tax rate for our adopted, tax rate last year to this year.
So again, for the benefit of those watching today, the motion contained a percent increase in the tax rate of 8.76%. That equates to the increase in the tax rate of all taxing entities, not B County. But the B County tax rate for fiscal year 2020-2021 is 0.69544. Is that correct? So again, it's a little bit of a blended statement.
Yes.
So B County is not increasing the tax rate by 8.76% itself. Any other comments, discussion?
This kind of reminds me of how, when we send out the tax statements, the people that come and complain about their taxes come to us because we send them out.
Yeah.
In reality, it's, the majority of the entities are the ones that raise the taxes the most.
They don't read, they
Yeah,
just, they look at the
exactly.
bottom line.
Yeah,
You're exactly right.
It's an envelope coming from your office, therefore they're gonna come complain to the court, not to the school board, not to the college, not to the city. And something like this also, the way we're reading it.
It sends out the same message.
You know what I'm saying?
So, and that's what happens is they all want to blame our tax assessor because she gets the check for the total amount. And then we spend time explaining, if you read it, look at the lines on there, all the entities get, and look where we fall in that range. So, yeah, it is deceiving to a certain extent, but I like the explanation that we're giving now. Is that this is total tax entities, and then our increases are only a portion of that, so, we're getting better at this.
Judge, if you will, the chickens came home to roost several years ago when there was a discrepancy between the county and the school district, and they had to send out their own tax bills. That's when people realized what was going on. It was real interesting. What is this? This is a lot of money, but it was going directly from schools out.
To any other discussion? Is this a roll call vote as well? Okay, then is there entertain, a vote at this time, beginning again with you, Commissioner Salazar,
Aye.
Commissioner DeWitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Farias,
Aye.
Commissioner Haggard.
Aye.
I too vote in the affirmative. Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Do we have anything, any other matters that we need to bring before this board? Okay, then I'd entertain, move on to agenda item number 6, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and all of your efforts during this budget year.